Hello, everybody. It's this duo again, Crescent Dragon Wagon
I'm Mark Graff.
and we are here to read you a story. You're probably not surprised at that because we've been doing this for our 11th week and our how manyth story?
Well, 7 times 10, so it's 70 readings plus, but I've probably well over 60 books.
And as one frog said to the other, time's fun when you're having flies. We are truly, well, I'm truly enjoying this, and I think Mark is probably enjoying it most of the time. I pulled him in because I was having a hard time when we were doing this on Facebook Live, and I would try to hold up the photographs, and it would reverse it and back to front it. And even though I can do that quite well when I am with a live bunch of people in the same physical room, I was having a hard time. So I dragged him in, and little did we know that we'd be 70 and counting books. So the reason that we do it, there are many reasons. One of the things is that Crescent Dragon Wagon, I write books for children, and I love to read out loud, to read to myself, to be read to. I love taking things in through words and kind of then thinking about it and feeling it. And I thought, well, this is something I can do. Everything is in an uproar. What can I do that will be a little place that we can land in every day together with some kind of sense of togetherness at a time when we're supposed to be physically distant? How can we be together here and here? Now, I also do it because this lady over here, this is Charlotte Zolotow. And she was my mother. She still is my mother, but she is no longer alive. I don't want you to worry about that. She didn't die of a horrible disease. She died because she was very old. And ideally, people are born, they live a long, interesting life. They're kids, they're teenagers, they're young adults, they're middle-aged adults, they're old, and then eventually they die. And that was how my mother did it. And she wrote many books, so we read some of mine and some of Charlotte's. Now, yesterday we read a book that I wrote called If You Call My Name, that is about a friendship between this little girl, who you can see in the picture, she's almost part fish, and her very dear friend. And their friendship is such that they almost don't need to say a word. But in all these books that Mark and I have been reading, some by my mother, some by me, there's all kinds of ways that people are with each other. Sometimes they love each other, sometimes they argue, sometimes they get along, sometimes they don't get along, sometimes they're sad, sometimes they're happy, because different ways of being with people call out different parts of you. And whatever way you feel is like the way you need to feel. This is the thing about feelings, they like to be felt. And so we read this beautiful, loving book about a friendship yesterday, and or the last time we read. And this time we're going to read about a different kind of relationship in my mother's book, The Unfriendly Book. The Unfriendly Book by Charlotte Zolotow with illustrations by William Penet Dubois. Are you ready for an unfriendly book? What about you, Mark?
Sure.
And you know, this is a time when some people really get along and some people don't. And it's worth thinking about those things, I think. Why do some of us get along and some not? Here we go. Judy had lots of friends, but Bertha thought that she was Judy's best friend, and she didn't like it when Judy played with other kids. "You come too," Judy said. "They're nice." Now, what do you think Bertha's going to say? "Nice," Bertha said. "I hate that Jean with her close together eyes." "I never noticed about her eyes," Judy said. but she's funny. She makes me laugh all the time. I love my friends that make me laugh. She makes me laugh too, Bertha said, but not the way you mean. The only one uglier than Jean is Marilyn. How can you stand somebody whose teeth stick out like that? I never noticed her teeth, said Judy. She knows more poetry by heart than anyone I ever knew. Now, by the way, if you look at these illustrations here, look at the first one of Marilyn. She's in the cape.
Here's my big chance.
Here's your big chance.
Yeah.
And look, the way that Bertha sees Marilyn, she looks a little ugly and her teeth are sticking out because that's the way Bertha sees her. But on the next page, we see the way that Judy sees Marilyn. Her teeth don't stick out. Her face is friendlier. She's holding a flower. And so much that's the way other people appear, the way we see them. It's like if you wear sunglasses, everybody's green. So Judy is wearing a different set of sunglasses than Bertha. I never noticed her teeth, said Judy. She knows more poetry by heart than anyone I ever knew. Well, if you like poetry so much, said Bertha, how come you put up with Mary? She's so dumb she wouldn't understand a poem if you explained it to her. And once again, take a look. That's how Bertha is seeing Mary. He sees her that way. Mary, said Judy, she's the fastest runner I ever saw. And she can climb better and throw a ball better and jump rope better than anyone I ever knew. And she never shows off about it either. And once again, look how it's the same person, but because Bertha sees with different eyes than Judy. Speaking of show-offs, Bertha said, what about Helen? She's always trying to be best. In school, she's an awful teacher's pet. Now, I bet you're understanding what William Penet Dubois is doing in those pictures. Look at that picture of Helen there with her knees stuck together. She does look kind of like a teacher's pet there. But in the next picture, well, she usually is best, Judy said, but she's never mean about it. She's never mean to anyone. She's never been mean to you, even when you tied in the spelling bee. Well, I don't like her, Bertha said. You don't like anyone, said Judy. And you like everyone, Bertha said. That's worse. No, said Judy. I don't like everyone. In fact, I don't like you. And she, Judy, walked away very, very fast. The end. Now there is my mother, an old lady by the time she left this world. And most people thought she was very kind and polite and sweet. How could she write about such meanness? Because meanness is part of life. And a lot of people are mean towards other people for exactly the same reasons that Bertha had. Reasons that have to do with the way they look, not who they are. And if you look at the Unfriendly Book, it actually really is about friendship and love, about what you're going to see in somebody. You know, do you see something that you admire, or do you see something that you say, I'm going to throw that out? And that's sort of what we were talking about before, actually, in a way. So what do you think of that book, Mark? And as we know, you never ask Mark a question unless unless you want an honest answer.
It reminds me of something my father told me when I was growing up. He said, "Everyone you meet will have something to teach you, and so your job is to find that thing, and see it in them." He also told me, you can't learn anything when your mouth is moving, so you should just be quiet sometimes and see what happens. And so he knew me really well. I think it is true that we react to people and we see things in them, and a lot of times we see things in them that are actually things in ourselves we don't like, so that we're reacting to something that we feel bad about, and we kind of see the other person, and we react to it that way. Certainly, that's true for me. I always, all my life, I've tried to do better with that. I've tried to find the thing in the other person that I can admire. I don't always manage to do it.
And I mean, neither did Judy in that. At a certain point,
Yeah.
she said,
Yeah.
"I don't like you. Goodbye."
Yeah.
And she walked away very fast. That's another important thing. Not every relationship is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to walk away from people fast.
Mm-hmm.
But, what I like about this book is this idea that the world often appears in as you see it. Again, like sunglasses. If you wear pink sunglasses, everybody's pink. Mm. And at this time when so many people are mad at each other, okay, Judy got mad at Bertha for a reason. Bertha refused to see what was good about anybody. She didn't get mad at her on principle. She didn't say, well, I don't like anybody that has, what is the dog that Bertha has?
It's a Dalmatian.
Bertha has a Dalmatian.
Yeah.
She didn't say, well, I could never like anybody that has a Dalmatian spotted dog. No, she went for something substantive. So I think that's an interesting book to consider at this time. Do you have any other comments on it you want to say?
No, that's it.
So I feel friendly towards you, even though I can't see what kind of teeth or dog or anything you have, but I know you're here listening to stories, and that must mean that you like stories, and that gives us something in common that I really like.
Yeah.
So shall we say our usual goodbye?
Sure,
Let's make it extra friendly. What do you say?
Okay.
How will you make it extra friendly?
I'll smile.
You want to blow extra hard, too?
No, I just smile.
You blew it a little extra hard. And I hope that kiss is winging safely and lovingly towards you.